afternoon, everyone. Welcome to, excuse me, another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. So, folks, just some interesting little tweets that have come up in the wake of the Stop the Shocks campaign reviving. Looks like my Twitter page says, you has to reload now. So, we do not have an edit button. While that is revising just a few things, folks, when we are discussing the JRC and the Stop the Shop campaign, you will hear and see about torture and abuse being done to people with developmental and neurodevelopmental disabilities. If you do have young children present, please wear your headphones. Also, as always, folks, in the description, you are going to find some links, some resources, and of course, the always important Shut the Judge Ruttenberg Center Down petition. If you haven't signed it, please do. If you are moved by this particular case, folks, I do ask that you visit the Disability Rights International pages, the ASAN pages. If you are able to donate, please do. If you can't, using their templates to send letters to stop this treatment would be more than helpful. Okay, so we received this morning in our community. It states, if the indie movement approached the problem of aggressive behavior in a more realistic manner, Stop the Shock hashtag would have more impact. I am no way condoning torture. Phraseological remodeling doesn't address the problem. Here's the issue with folks like Graham Mead, however. It seems perfectly logical and reasonable to say that, right? Well, has the indie movement addressed those who have these issues? Yes, we have. A, we have them ourselves. Of course, we've had it addressed. B, we have been offering alternative approaches when it comes to dealing with meltdowns and quote unquote aggressive or self injurious behavior for decades. I say this having been one of the people that helped set down the very guidelines in regards to treatment for people out here in my state with an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. Before about around 2008, there was no set standard across the state when it came to diagnosis. So, I, as well as doctors, professionals from different areas of the medical sphere, as well as some ally parent groups and others, were a part of the Missouri Commission on Autism Spectrum Disorders. And we put our heads together and came together with a coherent way to do diagnosis that would be uniform throughout the whole state. Since that time, that the tools that we created have since then gone national, I have been told. Now, in regards to behavior, there has been a concrete model when it comes to people of various disabilities, not just autism, for many, many years. In fact, on this very channel, some of my earliest videos were going over it. I never completed the series. I should probably do that looking back. But it's called person-centered planning. Person-centered planning is when someone's caseworker, their doctors, the circle of support that is around them, and the person with the diagnosis themselves come together in order to address any issues that they may be having and how best to deal with things like aggressive behavior, like self injurious behavior. But instead of just us, the freaking medical or neurotypical society, deciding for the person, or able society deciding for the person what it should be treatment for their own good, person centered planning sets the person at the center. It's very simple. It means everybody, including the person with the actual diagnosis, get together and work out a coherent plan in which to address these exact type of issues. It is a model that has been used for a few decades now and has been proven, at least in my state, to have been highly successful. Not only do they address these problem behaviors, but also in working together with plans, especially for transitioning age kids, for development so they don't get thrown into a place like the JRC, but are instead encouraged towards independence. We have several independent, disabled, but very well adjusted people that have come out of that program and are leading quite successful lives. Crazy, isn't it? Now, some folks will tell me, but some of these people, they can't really do that. You don't understand. They have to be taken care of. They can't make decisions for themselves. Who says? You? You, the non disabled public who don't know the first damn thing about how our minds work, how they develop, and apparently what we do and do not understand? Yeah, no. It's the assumption of incompetence that has been the mother of things that have led to things like the JRC and like this comment here to be expressed or done to us, folks. Person-centered planning is one of the most successful, positive things I've seen come out, developed in the 90s and coming out of the early 2000s. It has a good track record. It works. People like this always say, when we go after ABA, when we go after the JIC, well, what's your alternative? We give them an alternative. We give several alternatives. Person-centered planning is just one of many. And we give them those very well thought out, implemented even, solutions and ways of working on issues to then proceed to have them shout us down and tell us we don't understand. We're not competent enough to understand what type of treatment their child needs. And then, yeah, don't demand answers from us if you don't want to hear them. Because we have been talking about these alternative solutions and treatments and ways of doing things for decades. Some places, people think about it. Y'all should be embarrassed. You all should be embarrassed if Missouri, smack dab middle of the Bible Belt, one of the most backward states in the freaking US is ahead of you as far as how it treats its disabled population. Y'all need to go home and rethink. I'm just saying. I am literally just saying. Now, not only have we been attacked with this nonsense, telling us to provide solutions, and then when we provide them, be shouted down about how they're not realistic. Yes, Karen, they are realistic. I have seen them implemented for at least a couple of decades right now. It has been widely successful, not in just my state, but in other states as well. But I digress. We've also been seeing some other things pop up as well. Just some information we've been getting since we've gone on our gathering mission. Let me see if I can find it here. I think this is Pete's, but I'm not sure. Oh no, that's Autistic Science Person. Might take me a moment to find the exact one I want to go over with you. Okay. Moving on. Oh, by the way, if you want to see the number one way these people clap back at us, here you are. Recognition that not all reasons for the onset of aggressive behaviors are known are explained by the ND narrative. I'm not saying I disagree with the ND narrative and explanations. ND narrative, the number way these folks try to shut us down is calling it the ND narrative. What these idiots seem to forget is ND is not just about autistic people. There are a lot of people who fall under the neurodiversity umbrella. I have said it before. DEP falls under the umbrella of neurodiversity because ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety disorders, dyslexia, dyscalculia. There's more than just a few that fall under that umbrella. Number two, by basically saying we have a narrative of some kind, it indicates this idea of a collective effort to rewrite the actual facts. That is not the case. When we tell you about the abusive things that have been going on, when we tell you about different various treatments and assistive devices that are at best not helpful at all, or at worst completely abusive, they always write it off with this idea of ND narrative. They write it off as this idea that we are exclusionary of the quote-unquote token autistics that are severe, that we're lying about them and not including them at all. Nothing can be further from the case. We do not have a narrative. We're stating facts. And when we are stating facts, we're not just talking about those of us who are vocal and visual and can be seen, like this. Many people in the ND movement are the very people that they say that we are excluding, the very people that they exploit for billions of dollars every year. I'm not going to say any names. Autism speaks. Excuse me. But you get what I'm saying here. And yeah, there's no narrative. There's no conspiracy. None of us are getting paid by George Soros. You really think I'd live here in this state in this apartment if I did? Yeah, just saying. But, anyways, there was some more I wanted to go over with you. I just gotta see if I'm able to find it. I might have to pull up his name to get to the specific tweets that I'm talking about. Yeah, I probably will. Okay. See if it will pull him up. Yes, Pete Warmby. He brought something to my attention earlier that was very disturbing. Okay. Here we go. So this is very informative, and something in here is very disturbing. Okay. You may have noticed the Stop the Shock hashtag recently. This is a reaction to the U.S. Court of Appeals overturning a ban on the use of electric shock devices to train autistic children to avoid what is described as aggressive behavior. A school in Massachusetts is responsible for overturning the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center administrators. The shock treatment as part of its curriculum is apparently overjoyed that they can go back to physically harming the children in their care. The use of electric shocks to modify autistic behavior is scarily common. Earlier this year, a GoFundMe was knocking around trying to raise funds to manufacture shock collars. Let me say it again, shock collars, to ensure autistics and ADHD students, people like JD, I might say, stay focused on their work. Seriously. These shocks are extremely painful. Adults who tried the procedure have made it very clear that the pain and discomfort caused are extreme. But the educational center will now recommence using the treatment. And whilst there is loads of anger, understandably, from the autistic community, there is barely a peep from the neurotypicals. The simple fact is no one seems to care. Oh, no. Seriously. Let me get back to where we were. Autistic children, kids, are being given strong electric shocks to punish them for acting in an autistic way. If I were at that center as I was an 8-year-old, I would have been shocked. So would many of my friends. Electric shocks. Electric fucking shocks. But no one cares. Autistic advocates like Outside Person have spent weeks. I'm one of those people too. Anyone who sees my channel knows that. Relentlessly trying to raise awareness, but it's like blood from a stone. But you can't pretend you're not aware. Children being tortured for acting differently. It's happening. It's real. We need non-autistic accounts all over the world to get the hashtag trending to the point it is impossible to ignore. To try to force the hand of the U.S. legal system. And UK folks, remember how much we tend to import practices from the States. I look at my 6-year-old and try to imagine how anyone could cause them that kind of pain. A helpless child, confused and scared. It's just evil. I need to see some of my neurotypical followers sharing this stuff. I need to. If you won't retweet this stuff, what's the point in following? And there's the article that we went over on this channel. So that was the thread I wanted to go over with you folks. Because there has been talk now. There's been talk about using this now, this sort of treatment, not just any longer confined to the Judge Rotenberg Center. There has been talk about using it on others with neurodiverse disabilities. We're not just talking autism anymore. We're talking ADHD, people with depression, people with various behavioral issues, people with mental illness. We're talking about bringing back something that was banned like over 30 years ago. Yeah. Instead of going forward, folks, with this ruling, we are going backwards, and we're sliding backwards fast. So, that's all I got for this afternoon, folks. I'm going to go ahead and close out for now unless something else pops up later. Now, as always, we don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please, guys, don't forget, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. You have no idea how important it is right now. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye.